Good morning and welcome back to another Monday morning mentoring. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about today is the body stress response. That's one of mine. My ability to communicate gets hindered. As soon as I start trying to communicate, this whole voice chakra, the throat chakra, starts to close up. That is a practice I've been working on for a long time, and it still hasn't been handled. But when I acknowledge it and I confront it, it definitely improves. But that's an example of the body's stress response when, especially around if you're public speaking, things like this, and your throat closes up, you start coughing, you start getting choked up. This is a total correlation to the body's stress response. And the body's stress responses can look different for everyone. And it correlates to our mobility as well. So I want to share this with you and give you some examples. I just gave you one coming in here, but I'm going to show you one on the mobility. Okay, so if this is the first time we are meeting, hi, I'm Stefana Johnson. I'm a corrective exercise specialist and certified holistic health practitioner. I work in the field of functional health and elite performance for busy professionals, busy athletes, executives, and entrepreneurs. And I love what I do. I think that if we understand our bodies better and we can understand the natural rhythm of our bodies and stress responses, we are going to perform that much better in life and in our relationships, in work, and being connected and interconnected with the world that we live in, especially today, with so many opportunities for stress responses. And then that gets locked into the body. It actually does stay in the body if you are not able to handle it, or if you're even unaware of it, the body's response will go undetected until it becomes something that is absolutely requiring your attention, like an illness, like a deadly illness, like a major situation, right? So what I want to talk about and show you today is how the body's stress response actually correlates to mobility and how we can use auto relaxation. And when I say auto relaxation, it's meaning that you have to intentionally set up the response of relaxing. So you have to actually override the body's autopilot. And we have that in everything and in the way that the body works. So a lot of times I'll be working with a client, and although maybe they've been an athlete and very, very physical most of their lives, they could be doing a repetitive motion that's on autopilot, and the body is recruiting muscles that really aren't meant for that action. So for example, I've had a baseball player come in and they were swinging just from one location as opposed to using the whole body. And yet they're a very high level athlete. So when we just fix a couple things, that this can translate to golf, it can translate to other things. But when you are swinging from a joint and you've trained that one muscle to do that repetitive action, you've gotten really strong with that repetitive action and not used the whole integration of the body, you're leaving a lot on the table. And this correlates again to life, right? Our life, we leave a lot of things on the table. We leave a lot of things that we have so much more ability, and our performance would be elevated. Our energy would be elevated and be able to be maintained if we were able to balance this and bring things back into really what I like to call true powerhouse balance, true pH balance. When you are able to lead your movement from your powerhouse, and there's multiple powerhouses, it definitely comes from the center, and these are ways that you want to be functioning, not only physically, but mentally as well. And so let's look at one simple thing that you can do right now with me. You're going to just cross your arms, basically like you're just going to give yourself a big hug. Now, if you're seated, I want you up on your sits bones and where your hips are stable. So you're basically, your butt and your sits bones, they're not going to move when we do this turn. So you've got a big hug and you're just going to shift from your thoracic. Ideally, the feet are flat on the floor and you're on your sits bones and you're zipped up. And we're going to just turn as far as we can with our thoracic only. We're just going to turn from our waist, not from the hips, but from the upper shoulder girdle and thoracic, and see how far you can turn. Now, do it to both sides so you get a gauge on what's happening. And as you turn, just notice how tight you might be, or how much your hips maybe are wanting to try to compensate. Okay. Now, knowing that the thoracic, and we've been talking about this all month, is mobility, October's mobility month for us. When the thoracic is a mobile girdle, it should be able to turn, and we want it to move. That's why we do a lot of, right? We want it to be able to move without the hips having to compensate to get that turn. We want to be able to have them integrated, but we want to be able to have optimal thoracic rotation. And when that is very stuck, right? I will see people with a lot of stuck thoracic area. Now, it could be a chronic injury, but what I see mostly is a stress response has happened in the body. And it's become automatic, where people that have had higher stress or situations where that became normal, they locked down their thoracic. And I will also notice that the breathing is more shallow. So they're not breathing fully in the lungs, right? The whole lung thoracic girdle is where the lungs are housed. And when you can breathe more fully and more deeply, you can shift that body's stress response. And it's powerful and it's simple. So all we do, and I want to do that test first. So always just do that assessment first to gauge. Then all I'm asking you to do now is take a deep breath in, very intentional, very mindful, very present to that breath, where you bring the breath in through the nose, bring it all the way down into the lower part of the belly, dantian, below the belly button. Expand that out, expand the lungs with a big breath in, as big as you can take right now. And then exhale it out and see it pushing up, floating up, and just do that 3 times. So 3 big breaths. You don't have to intentionally relax anything else. It's just the breathing right now. So just breathing. All you have to do is follow your breath. Don't have to think about anything, no mantra, no, nothing else. Just follow the breath. 3 big breaths. Now let's do that again. Big hug. And you're already probably breathing more readily. You probably have come back to, you've created an automatic response in your body to breathe, and that's naturally relaxing. So let's see what happens now when you turn. Remember, we're just turning in that upper thoracic. And maybe if you notice that you might have been tighter in the lower ribs, I noticed I was, right through that lower diaphragm, I felt tight there. I felt a little pinchy, and I don't feel that now. And I can tell I'm able to get a lot more, and it's effortless. And there's not a strain coming from my back. I'm curious as to how this is for you. And we're doing that breath again. And maybe you're even wanting to breathe more. Maybe you're even yawning. Maybe a big yawn is happening. And on the exhale, maybe you're wanting to turn even more because it feels so good. Okay. So any of this hugging, this helps to expand that. But that is a simple example of overriding the body's stress response, especially when we have had accumulated stress. Now, we can't deny that the last year and a half, almost 2 years, has been an intense amount of stress. But the truth is, life is always going to give us challenges, obstacles, problems. That's life. That's part of the opportunity to grow and expand and to learn more. And if you look at life this way, as an opportunity to grow and expand, your health, your communication, your connection with people will, your love, I really want to get how it's all intertwined. But instead of these small threads of stress compounding and becoming chokehold ropes on us, these threads of challenges and problems can be opportunities to grow in strength, and they can become fibrous ropes of strength that web together and weave together a beautiful and very successful life. In your business, in your relationships, with yourself, your health. And this is really what I'm passionate about. So I wanted to share that today and show you how the body's stress response can, when you understand it and when you look at it from this perspective, you can shift this. And it doesn't take that long. And you notice the main tool that I used was the breath. The breath. It is a fundamental tool, key tools like this. And if you want some more tools like these that are fundamental and that are workable 100% of the time, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I put appointments on my calendar so that I can work with people that are looking for specific solutions to have much higher performance in your career, in whatever it is that you're working on. Usually I'll spend 15 up to 30 minutes with you coming up with specific tools. I'll give you 3 tools that you can use right now, ideally immediately, to make a significant shift in your life, in how you feel and in what's happening. So you can go to stefana.net, book a time on my calendar. I usually charge $500 for a session with me to do a reset session like that. So please take advantage of that. Go to my calendar. There's spots open right now. Put yourself on my calendar and let's sit down and come up with, let's get 1 to 3 specific tools that are the best for you right now that you can optimize, that will skyrocket your performance. Okay. Until next time, have an amazing week. Try that out and let me know how it goes. Make sure you comment and let me know if you noticed a difference. All right.